In my previous life, I was a nobody who made it big. By pure luck, I picked up the elite university recommendation spot that a rich heir from a powerful family didn't want. The one to Peking University. After graduation, I even married a beautiful and wealthy woman and reached the peak of my life. A poor boy from the countryside, turned overnight into a domineering CEO. At 28, I made all the right choices at every turning point that could change my destiny. But when I woke up, I was back to being 18 again. Before I could react, lines of bullet comments suddenly appeared before my eyes. The male lead's life is so good, he stole what originally belonged to the male supporting role. In his previous life, the male supporting role must have gone insane. He lost his recommendation to Peking University and even pushed away his childhood sweetheart, the girl who had loved him since they were kids, giving her to the male lead. He completely ruined a perfect hand of cards. In the end, his family went bankrupt, fell deep into debt, and even his own child wasn't his biological son. Now that he's reborn, this time it's definitely the male supporting role's turn to rise. Then another line popped up. Let's see how George, without relying on women to climb the ladder, can still play the male lead. I am George. But who said I can't be the male lead? Those who only try to make amends after losing someone have already lost from the very beginning. Chapter 01. I opened my eyes in a daze and met the ecstatic gaze of my deskmate Makoto. He jumped up, bolted out of the back door of the classroom, and ran to the neighboring class shouting for Willow, the woman who in my past life became my wife. He pulled her into his arms and confessed passionately, "Willow, this time I'll never lose you again." Willow froze for a moment, her face lighting up with disbelief and joy. Her eyes reddened instantly. She hugged Makoto tightly and nodded softly. More bullet comments appeared again before me. George is just a thief. We refuse to recognize this kind of protagonist. Thank goodness young Master Ito has awakened. This time he's taking back his own life. And then came another. Now that's more like it. A rich heir should be with a rich heiress. Why should a countryside nobody like George get the loser turns winner storyline? I hate those male fantasy plots where with my virtuous wife's grace I soared to the heights of ambition. In return I showered her with gold beyond measure. He's just a social climber simp riding on a woman's back to success. The heroine isn't running a charity office, you know. Someone else replied in the bullet comments. Wait a second, when women marry into wealth and stories you all get super hyped, right? Don't see you calling them social climbers. Oh right, you'd rather watch those I divorced the god and took half his divine power types of plots instead. I stared blankly at the math workbook on my desk. The complex formulas before me confirmed one thing: I had truly gone back to my senior year of high school. There was only 1 month left until the college entrance exams. Someone sat down beside me. Makoto's eyes were blazing with determination. He smirked at me confidently, his expression full of conviction. He said, "George, I'm going to take back everything that's rightfully mine. Just wait and see." I smiled but didn't answer. I was curious too. In this new life, what kind of path would I walk this time? Chapter 02. The school bell rang, and our homeroom teacher walked in with a joyful expression. Makoto's face lit up with pure excitement. Bullet comments started flashing rapidly across my vision. Here it comes. Ito Young Master's University recommendation notice has arrived. This is the very first turning point that changed George's destiny. If he hadn't stolen Ito's guaranteed admission spot, how could he have possibly entered Peking University? People who steal others' opportunities without working for it are nothing but rats in the gutter. He even snatched Ito's fiancée and climbed the social ladder using his wife's family's wealth. What a shameless man. The next second, the teacher spoke. Makoto, congratulations. You've been officially granted the recommendation spot for Peking University. Amid thunderous applause, she looked at me with a trace of regret. Although both George and Ito earned awards in the competition, there's only one recommendation slot. In my previous life, Makoto's score in that academic contest was just 0.5 points higher than mine, and by ranking order I lost my chance. But to everyone's surprise, he rejected it. He had said, "Guaranteed admission is the lowest form of success. Give the spot to someone who needs it more." Because of that one sentence, the whole class looked up to him. Even our teacher teased, "Then I'll be waiting for Ito to become the top scorer in the entire province and bring honor to our school." In reality though, He was madly in love with the school beauty. He'd sworn to enter the same university as her and experience a passionate, headstrong romance. He was sick of sneaking around having to hide just to hold hands. Makoto was drowned in a flood of admiration. And I, the one who took that spot, became everyone's target of ridicule. Beggar's food. Picking up someone else's leftovers. So shameless. I didn't care. With my grades barely hovering around Peking University's admission line, I treasured that opportunity. Makoto could afford to gamble with his exam results. I, born in the countryside, could not. A stable future mattered far more than cheap words. But now in this second life, Makoto's determined voice echoed in the classroom. I'll accept the guaranteed admission spot to Peking University. Chapter 03. As the class buzzed with admiration and envy, he turned to me. George, you must be really disappointed, huh? Bullet comments appeared again. Of course he is. George's teeth are probably grinding to dust. This recommendation spot feels so satisfying to watch. Just imagining Ito dumping that pretentious coquette and going to the same university as the heroine feels great. Makoto took a deep breath. His hands trembled with excitement as if the feeling of rebirth had finally sunk in. He smiled and said, "Sorry about that. This recommendation spot belongs to me." I gave him a calm smile. "Congratulations then. 10 years. From 18 to 28 in my last life, I fought tooth and nail in the Lu group, pushing through countless obstacles, securing deals after deals, and finally earning the approval and respect of Mr. Lu. Meanwhile, Makoto was busy playing games of love and pride, eloping with his girlfriend just to prove a point. What I had over him wasn't just 10 years of experience. It was judgment, composure, and the courage to face challenges head-on. A college entrance exam. In this lifetime I was certain of my own strength. There would be no accidents. No failures. But Makoto clearly thought I was bluffing. He looked at me with disdain. I'm really looking forward to the moment 2 months from now when the exam results come out, just to see the look on your face. He smirked triumphantly as if he had already pictured me as the joke of the year. Chapter 04. But his happiness didn't even last one class period, because the moment Maria showed up, his face went pale as death. Maria was Makoto's current girlfriend. She was not only the school beauty but also the god-sister of the school bully. With her delicate and fragile looks, she always managed to thrive among crowds of boys eager to protect her. Though she kept ambiguous relationships with many of them, and her admirers were countless, she ultimately accepted the confession of the rich heir Makoto. Anyone with half a brain could guess her intentions. She burst into the classroom fuming with rage. In one swift motion, she swept all of Makoto's books off his desk and onto the floor. She snapped. "Didn't you promise we'd go to the same university? What the hell do you mean by this now?" Makoto looked at her impatiently. "Why the hell should I go to the same university as you? With your grades, you'll be lucky to get into some third-rate college. Who gave you the confidence to even say that?" The commotion was so loud that students crowded the doorway to watch. From the neighboring class, Willow came running over after hearing the noise. She said sharply, "Crazy woman. Go make a scene somewhere else." Humiliated again and again, Maria finally broke down. Her eyes turned red as she pointed at Makoto and shouted, "Bastard, you got me drunk and did that to me, then begged me not to call the police. You said you'd take responsibility. Now you regret it and want to pretend nothing happened. You're just trying to use me and dump me like trash." She gritted her teeth and turned to Willow. "And you actually like this piece of garbage? Figures, the two of you make a perfect pair of scum." Makoto stood up, shielding Willow behind him. His voice trembled with fury. "Don't you dare spout nonsense. It was your brother who set me up. You booked the hotel room yourself. You threw yourself into my arms saying you wanted to give me your first time. Stop pretending to be some pure virgin." "And what did I even do? Your brother barged in right after we entered the room and threatened to call the cops. Anyone with eyes could see it was a trap." Makoto was shaking with anger. Then suddenly realization struck him. He pointed straight at me. "It's you, isn't it? You couldn't get my recommendation spot, so you brought her here to threaten me. Trying to ruin my reputation. George, you're disgusting. You two are just scheming snakes trying to steal everything that's mine." The bullet comments exploded with outrage, all taking Makoto's side and cursing me viciously. No wonder Maria showed up so fast. She and George must have been plotting this together. In the last life, Ito was tricked by Maria, he was too naive to see through her manipulative act. And with George, that cunning bastard, working alongside her, it's no surprise he fell into their trap. Makoto suffered so badly because of those two in the past. Now that he's awakened, they're finally getting what they deserve. I couldn't help but laugh in anger. I said, if your brain's messed up, go get it checked. I haven't even moved from my seat all class, are you blind? You made your own mess and now you want to pin it on me. The classmates around us looked at each other, nodding in agreement. Makoto's face turned crimson. He couldn't utter a single word. Maria ran out of the classroom crying, leaving a total mess behind. Since I was his deskmate, my books were scattered across the floor too. I silently bent down to pick them up, and just then found myself face to face with Willow, who was also crouching down. Chapter 05. Our eyes met, and for a split second, it felt like yesterday. Just a moment ago, she was my wife, calling my name softly in bed. We'd been married for 5 years, even planning to have a child together, though it never came to be. Then I woke up, and suddenly I was 18 again. The girl in front of me was no longer the woman I knew. 18-year-old Willow had nothing to do with George. Yet at this very moment, she looked at me with a hint of surprise. She pressed her lips together and asked, "Have we met before?" I froze for a second. During all 3 years of high school, I had buried myself in study, never interacting with her. Even this semester, though I sat next to Makoto, he was always busy dating Maria and barely even acknowledged Willow. So how could she suddenly ask something like that? I was just about to reply when Makoto, looking visibly anxious, shoved me aside and stepped in front of Willow. He said, "Willow, you're overthinking it. He's just some countryside nobody, how could he possibly have crossed paths with us?" Willow hesitated, then finally nodded. "Sorry. I must have mistaken you for someone else." She handed me a notebook, filled with her incorrect answers. On one page was the hardest question from the national competition, now covered in dense formulas written by me. Willow looked at me with surprise. "You actually solved it. Can I take a look at your method?" Makoto immediately tensed up, snatching the notebook from her hands. He said sharply, "Why are you asking him? His scores aren't even as high as mine. What good solution could he have? Even I couldn't solve that problem. There's no way he could." Makoto was visibly rattled. Having been reborn, he was terrified of repeating the same mistake, the mistake of losing Willow, his fiancée, from the last life to another man. He said, "Willow, if there's something you don't understand, just ask me." Bullet comments floated across my vision again. "Makoto, relax. As long as you two don't break up, Willow will never be taken by George." Exactly. Even in the last life after she married George, when she heard Makoto had an accident, she dropped everything to see him. Makoto was always her white moonlight. I don't know. 7 years later, I think Willow really did love George. After all, they went through university and worked together, facing everything side by side. Feelings like that are bound to grow. George had ability, Makoto just chose the wrong person. Oh please. Stop being brainwashed by the plot. It's obvious the story forced that direction. George is just a rural kid, how could he ever compare to Makoto? Who knows, maybe he only got close to Willow to climb the ladder. Not good enough for Willow. It wasn't the first time I'd heard those words. Back in university, when Willow and I started dating, even our professors said we looked like a perfect match, a talented man and a beautiful woman. But no one ever said we were meant to be together, let alone fit for marriage. Because while Willow's casual outfits cost more than an average person's monthly salary, I was still wearing the same pair of sneakers that had faded from being washed too many times. Class divides. A gap that ordinary people might spend their entire lives trying and failing to cross. Chapter 06. During the following month, Makoto went to Willow's class every single day. But wherever I appeared, he would make sure to drag her away, never letting us meet. Her unusual behavior that day had clearly shaken him. Time flew by and soon the college entrance exam arrived right on schedule. Everyone hurried through the halls, clutching last-minute study sheets, trying to cram every bit of knowledge they could. I, however, walked calmly toward the exam hall, carrying only my test admission envelope. Bullet comments flickered in front of me mockingly. Has this guy already given up? Everyone else is frantically reviewing and he's just strolling like it's a regular school day. Guess he knows struggling is useless. He already lost the recommendation slot anyway. I bet he won't even make it into a decent university. Certainly not compared to Ito. I ignored them completely. Suddenly the bullet comments exploded into chaos. Lines of text flew past in panic. Makoto's been taken away by the school bully. What's going on? He doesn't even need to take the exam. Why is he at school? Maria's despicable. She actually called her big brother to handle it for her. What a vicious woman. Now what? The teachers and security are all busy near the main buildings keeping order. No one's even watching that abandoned equipment room. Maria's gone insane. Makoto's been acting distant lately. She must have noticed. Wait, she brought a knife. Is she planning to drag him down with her? I hesitated for a second. Then stopped in my tracks. The next moment, I turned and sprinted toward the equipment room. Once the exam began, anyone arriving more than 15 minutes late wouldn't be allowed to enter. But if Makoto really died like this, that would be far too easy for them. I quickened my pace. What's George doing? The exam's about to start. That's the direction of the equipment room. Could it be he knows Makoto's been kidnapped, or is he behind it too? Exactly. He lost the recommendation spot. He must be holding a grudge. Maybe he's colluding with Maria to ruin Makoto for good. I ignored the sneering bullet comments. A faint smirk tugging at my lips and kept running. Just then, I spotted a patrolling security guard. Together, we rushed toward the old equipment building, and when we got there we saw Makoto tied to a chair, his face swollen and bruised as Maria slapped him furiously. The security guard roared. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Chapter 07. The abandoned equipment room was more than 10 minutes away from the exam hall. By the time I made it back, there were only 15 minutes left before they locked the doors. I slipped into my seat just in time. Breathing hard, and finally laid my hands on the exam paper. I had no time to care about the shocked bullet comments flooding my vision. I focused entirely on the questions before me. 3 days of exams went by in a blur. With each test I grew calmer, steadier. But the moment I stepped out of the final exam room, several police officers were already standing there waiting for me. George. One of them said, "Please come with us." My eyes darkened slightly. Around me my classmates immediately erupted into whispers, their curiosity and gossip spilling over like wildfire. Did you hear? On the first day of the exams Makoto got kidnapped. They say George was the mastermind. What's that got to do with George? Wait, could it be because of the Peking University recommendation spot? George is disgusting. Makoto gets in trouble. And the slot goes to him. Typical, poor people are cunning, rich people are kind. I was only transferred to this school in my senior year. A special admission after the school paid a 100,000 yuan scholarship, hoping I could bring them glory by getting into Peking University. That entire 100,000 was taken by my father to pay off his gambling debts. Every month he'd ride the train into the city just to collect most of my student stipend. Everyone in school knew I was the country bumpkin with a crude, useless father. No one wanted to get close to me. The bullet comments buzzed with cruel excitement. Waiting to see me fall. I sent this poetic justice. Fresh out of high school and already heading to prison. He looked so serious during the exams. Maybe he could have made it into a good university. What a pity, he brought it on himself. But a few others tried to defend me. Hold up, don't jump to conclusions. George doesn't seem like that kind of person. What if it's just a misunderstanding? Their scattered voices of support were quickly drowned out by a flood of venomous accusations. I frowned, trying to think of a way to clear my name. Being able to see bullet comments was strange enough already. But I didn't expect that when the police took me away it wouldn't be for an interrogation or confrontation at all. Chapter 08. Soon, the day of the results arrived. The school invited the top 30 students to return and check their scores together. Several reporters were already waiting outside the classroom, broadcasting live across the internet, every major university betting on who would claim the title of provincial top scorer this year. Someone said, "Last time Willow ranked second in the mock exam. Since Makoto didn't take the real one, it's definitely going to be her this time." Another added, "Willow and Makoto are a perfect match. A talented couple, both destined for Peking University, a true power pair." I stood quietly in the corner of the classroom. Then the principal suddenly spoke up. "Oh right, George. You were also among the top 5, weren't you? Have you estimated your score?" I nodded. "I think I'll get over 700. The principal's eyes glimmered with amusement. Clearly he didn't believe me. My best record in the past year was 685 points. The bullet comments immediately erupted with laughter. Haha, sometimes I really envy how confident guys can be. If I had half a man's confidence, I'd succeed at everything. Don't make me laugh. Even Ito wouldn't dare say he could score over 700. What makes George think he can? The principal began checking scores from the top 30 students one by one. The tension in the room grew thicker with each keystroke. Reporters' cameras clicked non-stop, filling the silence with flashes and excitement. Finally, it was time for the top 5. Just as the principal was about to type in my exam number, a phone call came through from the university admissions office. A call at this timing could mean only one thing: a university was trying to claim a top student before anyone else. The principal's entire face flushed red with excitement. If our school actually produces the provincial top scorer, he declared proudly, I'll treat every single person here to a grand feast and hand out extra scholarships. Everyone who witnesses it gets a share. The classroom erupted in cheers. He put the call on speaker. Principal Lin, said a voice from the other end. First off, congratulations, your school has produced this year's provincial top scorer. From now on, your admissions line is going to be packed. Secondly, I need to ask, is George Wang there? Please get him on the phone immediately. If another university steals him away, my boss will kill me. Principal Lin froze for a moment, completely stunned. What did you say, George? How many points did he get? The voice on the other end replied excitedly. The provincial science top scorer, 728 points. It's a new all-time record, 15 points higher than second place. Principal Lin, you've outdone yourself. The line clicked off. The room fell into dead silence. Everyone stared at me, their faces frozen in disbelief. Then Principal Lin burst into laughter, grabbing my hand and shouting excellent 3 times, his eyes burning with pride. The bullet comments went absolutely wild. What the hell, that has to be fake. There's no way George scored that high. Stop lying. I saw him in the exam hall himself. He was writing seriously the whole time. Is it really that hard to admit that the former male lead actually has talent? Oh please. You simp for George too much. So what if he's the top scorer? He's still headed for jail. He injured poor Makoto so badly. Let's see him rot behind bars. Are you people even listening to yourselves? Your left and right brains are having a fistfight. Just then, a commotion broke out outside the classroom door. 2 police officers stepped inside. Chapter 09. In full view of the crowd, one of the police officers stepped forward, and in his hands was a red silk banner embroidered with gold letters. He handed it to me and said, "We're here on behalf of student Makoto to thank you, George Wang, for your act of bravery." The room went dead silent. All the people who had been whispering and gossiping a minute ago now looked utterly embarrassed. I accepted the banner with both hands and said quietly, "Thank you." The reporters who had been filming the live reveal of the provincial top scorer suddenly erupted with excitement. They hadn't expected this twist. Not only did they get the top scorer reveal, but also a police commendation ceremony. This was front-page headline material. Just then, my phone vibrated. 2 new messages from Makoto popped up. "You saved my life this time. Let's consider the past between us cleared. But my woman will never be yours again. From today on, I don't ever want to see you in front of me." The bullet comments flooded in instantly. As expected from a rich heir raised with elite education, even after George stole everything from him in his past life, Ito doesn't hold grudges and even helps clear his name. Honestly, George is pretty lucky. Being provincial top scorer would be enough glory for most people, but he even got a police banner thanks to Ito. Others fired back angrily. Oh come on, jealous much? George literally saved Makoto's life. Isn't that something he should be thanked for? If it weren't for George, Makoto might have been dead. And yet people are praising him for not holding a grudge. I can't with you people anymore. Do you just hate seeing poor people succeed? The guaranteed spot was something Makoto gave up himself? And you keep calling George a social climber simp or saying he manipulated Willow into marriage. Did he force her to marry him? Did he ever mistreat her? Without George, there wouldn't even be the Lu Corporation's success. Meanwhile, Willow, she wants to act virtuous while playing the victim, constantly belittling George and comparing him to Makoto. Hypocrisy at its finest. I couldn't help but curl my lips into a faint smile. After so long, finally a few voices of reason among the sea of judgment. They were right. Yes, I was a social climber. And Willow was the most privileged woman I'd ever had the chance to reach. I did like her, but part of that came from the fact that she was a rich heiress. I knew my background and my connections could never match my ambition. So yes, my approach to her wasn't entirely pure. But once I joined the Lou group, I gave it everything I had. I worked myself to the bone, secured major projects, and helped turn the Lou family into the richest household in City A. Only then did Mr. Lou truly acknowledge me. Even after I became successful, built an empire of my own. I never forgot where it all started. I learned to endure, to compromise, to turn a blind eye when I had to. After all, I made my choice and I had to accept its price. The price of success was this: that she never stopped thinking about Makoto. That she treated me like a servant, ordering me around without a second thought. That she agreed to have a child, yet secretly kept taking birth control pills behind my back. I wanted wealth and power. And this was the price I had to pay for it. I was so lost in thought that I didn't notice Willow's eyes growing stranger and darker by the second as she watched me in silence. Chapter 10. Right after graduating high school, I used the memories of my past life to make my first fortune through stock trading. Then, with foresight from what I already knew about the next 5 years, I founded a company in one of the most promising emerging industries. I recruited a group of young yet capable early shareholders. People I had met in my previous life. They all had talent. Just no money. When university started, the military training got cancelled, which gave me extra time to prepare a proposal and bidding document for an upcoming project from the Lou Group. One day, while working on the proposal at school, I overheard news that Willow and Makoto were officially together. Makoto's flamboyance left everyone speechless. He posted updates daily, never missing a chance to show off their relationship. They were constantly glued together. The campus golden couple. The first time I ran into them on campus, they were quarreling. Willow looked visibly upset. Makoto, I need some personal space too. Makoto, who should have been thrilled since Willow was the girl he'd secretly loved since childhood, instead turned into someone else entirely. His possessiveness had gone from flattering to suffocating. And even Willow was starting to lose patience. Then his temper snapped. What do you mean by that? He said coldly. You think I'm controlling you too much? With the way you dress, showing off like that, don't tell me you want space. You just want to flirt with other men, don't you, slut? The sound of a slap cracked through the air. Willow had struck him across the face. Bullet comments flew by instantly. Not gonna lie, I'm starting to feel turned off by the male supporting role. Makoto's gone insane. He tracks her every move just so she doesn't see the original male lead. Calls it caring about her. That's not love, that's obsession. Compared to that, George is completely different. He never questions what Willow wears or where she goes. And yet the heroine used to doubt whether George even loved her. Makoto lifted his head and caught sight of me standing nearby. His expression darkened immediately. He ground his teeth and shouted, "Didn't I tell you not to show up in front of us again?" I raised an eyebrow. If your brain's broken, go fix it. Is this hallway your family's property now? His jaw tightened, but then he noticed Willow's gaze had shifted from him to me. She was staring blankly, lost in thought. Makoto's voice cracked in anger. Willow, you've been fooling around with him all along, haven't you? Why is it that even after being given another chance, you still choose him? He turned away devastated and stormed off, leaving Willow standing frozen in place. I clicked my tongue twice in silence. Choose him, please. I would never understand it. Makoto had everything: money, status, intelligence. Yet he never knew what truly mattered. For 18-year-old Willow, even if Makoto did nothing but stand there, she would have gravitated toward him on her own. And even without Willow, so what? He still had more than most people could ever dream of. Willow's eyes glistened red. After a long pause, she finally said softly, I'm sorry. Makoto's been under a lot of pressure with his company lately. I apologize on behalf of my boyfriend. Boyfriend, huh? I stared at her for a moment. In my previous life, I was Willow's first love. But the person who truly taught her what love was had always been Makoto. Even after we got married, she could never let him go. She was my wife in name. But in her heart, she was always his. That was fine. In this life we were walking down different paths. And this time, I no longer needed her. Chapter 11. 2 months later. The Lou Group's project bidding officially began. With 8 years of experience working in the Lou Group from my previous life and months of meticulous preparation this time, I was certain my proposal was the best solution on the table. If nothing unexpected happened, we would win the bid. But of course, something did happen. The problem was that my company was newly established, too new. Many aspects had to be outsourced, driving up the overall cost. Whether the Lou Group would value the strength of my proposal over the financial efficiency of other companies was the one thing that kept me awake at night. I tightened my grip on the report in my hands. And then as the Ito Group's presentation began, my heart turned cold. Their proposal was identical to mine. Word for word. Every slide, every line of data, even the punctuation marks were the same. The manager beside me lost his temper and slammed the table. But the representative from the opposing side only smirked in amusement. He asked mockingly, "Can your company prove this proposal was actually your original work?" I stared at the PowerPoint on the screen. Not a single change from the one I'd created. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Makoto, impossible. In the previous life, he hadn't even entered the Ito Group. After failing to graduate properly from a third-tier university, he'd wandered around until the Ito Corporation collapsed. He'd never even gotten close to Lou Group projects. And yet, the only way this could have happened was if someone from my own team leaked it. A thin layer of sweat formed on my palms. Losing the project wasn't the real issue, but being branded as a plagiarist in the industry would destroy our company's reputation before it had even started. Due to the plagiarism dispute, the bidding process was immediately suspended. I walked out of the Lou Group building, my mind heavy, and a black luxury car stopped in front of me. The window rolled down. It was Makoto. I met his gaze. My expression cold. "Was it you?" He shrugged casually. "Don't blame me, your secretary couldn't resist temptation." I clenched my jaw. He frowned slightly, then added, "George, of all the places you could have gone, why Lou Group?" A faint trace of guilt flashed across his face, but only for a second. Before it vanished completely. He sighed. "Hey, don't take it personally. I just don't want to repeat my past mistakes. I'm only taking back what was originally mine." The bullet comments burst into chaos. He didn't have a choice, did he? It's self-preservation, not malice. He didn't really do anything wrong. Honestly, I feel bad for Makoto. He used to be a rich heir, had everything in the palm of his hand. Then one downfall and he lost it all, turned from rich to ruined. No wonder he's desperate, no wonder he's broken. It's all George's fault. If not for him, Makoto's life would have stayed perfect. Another comment snapped back. "Are you people brain dead? How is stealing someone's work not wrong? You call George a thief? But isn't Makoto the real one here? And please stop with that poor rich boy pity act. Instead of fixing Ito Group's internal problems, he thinks marrying into Lou Group is the only way to avoid bankruptcy. You're the same ones who mocked George for relying on women. Well, guess what? Makoto's doing the exact same thing. Hypocrisy much. I'm with George this time. I've seen him working every night till 1 or 2 a.m. these past 4 months. And what's Makoto doing, using stolen work and acting righteous? Even Willow can't save him from this one. Just when I thought there was no turning point left, Willow appeared before me alone. Chapter 12. The moment I saw her, I knew. Willow had been reborn too. Her eyes, those were not the eyes of an 18-year-old girl. They were the eyes of a woman who had lived another 10 years. Her voice trembled as she said, "Darling, why didn't you come to find me? You came back too, didn't you? That proposal, I know it was yours. You're the only one capable of making it." Her expression softened with emotion. Her lips quivering. Maybe it was because just moments ago, in her last memory, we had still been entangled, husband and wife. If I said I felt nothing for her, that would be a lie. But the truth was, whatever remained between us wasn't enough for me to throw away my pride to chase after her shamelessly all over again. Because no matter what life it was, past or present, the one she truly thought about in her heart had always been Makoto. In my previous life, I had confronted her about it once. And what had she said? "You already married me. What more do you want? I just see him as a brother." To me, she was always condescending, cold, distant. But to Makoto, She would soften, become the gentle woman I could never reach. For Makoto. She missed our wedding anniversary. For Makoto. She left me burning with a fever in the hospital just to cook porridge for him. I knew she never cheated. She kept her distance, never crossed physical boundaries. But Makoto was her white moonlight. The unreachable ideal she'd buried in her heart. In my last life, I endured it. Because I owed the Liu family too much. Because marrying Willow had been the perfect equation, the optimal solution for a man like me. She was right, I already had her money and status. What more could I ask for? Why should I complain? But in this life, I said calmly, because I don't need you anymore. This time, I had the strength to succeed on my own. I didn't need her name, her family, her shadow. Yes. I wasn't a noble man, but neither was she innocent. I gestured toward Makoto, who was running up behind her in panic. Almost forgot, I added with a faint smile. Congratulations. You got what you always wanted. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness. Willow's face tightened. Her brows furrowing in disbelief. She had thought we were still the same as before. That this was just another of our petty arguments, something that would blow over soon. George, you've changed. She said, her voice rising with hurt. You were never like this before. Why say things just to hurt me? Then she took a breath and added. If you're ready to talk, I can speak to my father about the plagiarism issue. I let out a short laugh as I watched her and Makoto walk away together. If she really wanted to, she could have gone straight to Mr. Liu and fixed everything herself. But no, she was still waiting for me to lower my head first. Besides, had she forgotten she already had a boyfriend? Chapter 13. 2 days ago. The Anna Corporation took the initiative to contact me, offering a huge sum to buy my proposal. Anna Sue. 22 years old, heir to the Anna Group, known for being ruthless and calculating, the infamous Poison Rose. In my previous life, I had heard plenty of rumors about her. She said. From what I know about the Ito Corporation, there's no way they could pull off a plan like this. Then she added. So Mr. Wang, what do you think? At this point no one but me can help you. Are you sure you don't want to reconsider? 2 days later. I dialed her number again. I asked. Miss Anna, are you interested in a collaboration? Selling the proposal was out of the question, it was the collective effort of everyone in our startup. But if Anna Corporation was willing to collaborate, it could not only compensate for the weaknesses of our young company but also push the plan even further with Anna Group's existing resources. I clenched my jaw and said. We're willing to show our utmost sincerity. Within 2 years we can increase the net profit of Anna Group's biotech products by 20%. Anna curved her lips into a faint smile. A glimmer of intrigue flashing in her eyes. She said. Mr. Wang, just as I expected, you really are a rare talent. Chapter 14. From that day on, my life revolved around school, our company, and the Anna Group. Because my grades were outstanding, I was exempted from several public and non-essential courses. Although truth be told, some money was involved in that arrangement. Anna somehow managed to smooth things over. Now, the company that was officially cooperating with the Liu Corporation bore Anna's name, and I had become the chief planner of Anna Group's cooperation project. For a startup, being too flashy is rarely a good thing. Yet because of that, Anna began to boss me around, telling me to do this and that, such as attending banquets. When she stepped out of the fitting room, wearing a custom French-style cinched dress, I deliberately acted astonished, thinking to myself, she thinks she's using me as free labor. But in truth, I just want to use her as my stepping stone into the business world. Later that year, I had a new project and planned to attract some investors. She narrowed her eyes, gave a faint hum, and said approved. The business banquet was hosted by the Liu family. As Anna entered the grand hall holding my arm, the first thing I saw was Willow's incredulous expression. She grabbed my arm, pulling me aside with a dark expression. What are you doing? How could you come to the banquet with another woman? You're my husband. I yanked my hand back and sneered. I said, don't be ridiculous. I'm single now. And besides, aren't you here with another man? I gestured toward Makoto, who was chatting with some guests. Willow seemed to relax a little. She bit her lip and whispered. Darling, you misunderstood. You know the Ito Corporation hasn't been doing well lately. I just wanted Makoto to meet a few people who might help us. Once the banquet's over, I'll tell him to leave. I sighed, losing all patience. I said, Willow, stop pretending. Chapter 15. She froze on the spot, staring at me in disbelief, biting her lip. She asked, "What do you mean by that?" I gave a cold, mocking laugh. "Still trying to play both sides, huh? Don't you have any shame? Have you even mentioned breaking up with Makoto during all this time?" Watching her face turn pale, I spoke calmly. "A woman who's once been protected by a lion could never fall in love with a stray dog. That's what you told me on the day we got married. Of course, I don't blame you. After all, my reason for marrying you in the first place wasn't exactly pure either. Since we've both been given another chance. Isn't living a different life what you wanted?" Suddenly, someone slipped her arm through mine. Anna leaned her head lightly against my shoulder, complaining softly, "What are you doing running off to chat with your ex in public and leaving your date behind? Don't you think that's a bit rude?" I sighed, smoothing the wrinkle she'd made on my shirt collar. "You've got it wrong," I said evenly. "She's just our current employer at most. Other than being old classmates, there's nothing between us." Willow's face flushed scarlet, her usual graceful composure completely shattered. She shouted, "What's your relationship with her?" The Anna Group was the Liu family's biggest rival for future expansion. In my previous life, if it hadn't been for me, Liu Corporation would have already fallen behind Anna Group. Anna blinked playfully and said, "What relationship? I'm Gio's bedmate." Then she poked my arm and added with a teasing smile, "Gio, when are you going to make it official with me?" I rolled my eyes and replied, "You're too old. I'm a very loyal man, only date 18-year-olds. Anna's smile instantly froze, her expression turning from amused to flustered anger. "George, are you looking down on me? How would you know if you've never tried?" As Anna and I bickered our way out, Willow's face had turned completely dark. Chapter 16. When I walked out of the restroom, I ran into Makoto. His eyes were bloodshot as he said, "George, let me tell you a secret. Your rebirth, it was something I exchanged with the system at the cost of 10 years of my life. I just wanted you to see it with your own eyes, how I given a second life would take back everything that was originally mine." I froze for a moment. That I truly hadn't known. His gaze shifted from hatred to desolation. He continued, "I wanted you to watch yourself fall from heaven to hell to taste the pain I went through in my previous life. But why is it that even after being reborn, you still live better than me? Why does Willow still care about you? What makes you the male lead while I'm fated to be the male supporting role? I was born into wealth and heir to a powerful family. I could have any woman I wanted. But Maria was the first one to keep me on a leash. And I thought I'd finally found true love. I personally pushed Willow away for her, only to realize later that all Maria ever wanted was my money. Do you know how hopeless I felt? When Ito Corporation went bankrupt, when Maria filed for divorce and told me the child wasn't mine. Do you know how much I regretted it when I went back to find Willow only to hear that you two were getting married?" Then out of nowhere, the bullet comments reappeared on the screen. "Holy crap, plot twist of the century. George is also reborn, or was Makoto behind it all? This is insane. He literally ruined himself just to drag someone else down." I'm speechless. I supported Makoto all this time, but now it turns out he's done nothing but wallow in self-pity. I thought it was going to be a redemption arc for the male supporting role. But no matter how many times the story resets, the male lead is still the male lead. And another comment read, "There's a reason he's the protagonist, he's always known exactly what he wants. Love and drama mean nothing to him." I take back all the criticism I gave him before. I looked at Makoto and said seriously, "Even after living again, you still don't get it?" He frowned. "Don't get what?" I replied. "You don't know how to live in the present. You're always trapped in the past. You've forgotten who you are, the heir of the Ito Corporation, a guaranteed student at Peking University. And most importantly, you don't understand, being the male lead is not a title given by the audience or by others. It's something you give yourself. You become the protagonist of your own story. With that kind of mindset, no matter how many chances you get, you'll always end up as a side character in someone else's life." As he stood there stunned, for the first time I sincerely felt grateful to him. I said, "Makoto, thank you for giving me the chance to become who I am now. I prefer this version of myself, one defined by my own choices, far more than the so-called male lead I was in the last life." Chapter 17. Half a year later, the company gradually found its footing and began expanding rapidly. Willow eventually broke up with Makoto. Every now and then she would show up in front of me trying to remind me of her presence, trying to rekindle what we once had. I said to her, "To be honest, looking back now, half of what I liked about you was your face. The other half was your figure, which I'll admit was decent for your age, and most importantly the Liu family's resources." Then I pointed toward Anna and continued, "But now I've got a beauty by my side. If I keep working hard, maybe in a few years I'll even be able to replace the Liu family's position. Sure, she's a bit older. But at least we're equals, she doesn't yell at me like you used to, right?" I shook my head regretfully and said, "On the whole, you still don't quite measure up." Willow bit her lip and said, "George, we've been married for 5 years. We're about to have a child. Why would you say something like that?" Anna couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed her phone and called security. "So annoying, there's a crazy woman here claiming she's having my husband's baby. How shameless, get her out of here." I reached out and stopped her. I said, "Did I ever let you take the throne that you dare call me husband?" Anna's expression immediately changed. She leaned toward me pitifully and murmured, "Didn't you promise to give me a chance, Gio? You lied to me." Expressionless. I pushed her away and teased, "I told you, I'm a very loyal man. I only go for 18-year-olds. Anna gritted her teeth, glaring at me with wounded pride. Then she called her secretary in and said, "Starting today, schedule a weekly skin treatment for me. And renew my gym membership for another 50 years. I couldn't help but laugh. No one helped me climb to success. I walked through the snow myself to reach the peak. Just as some women say never suffer hardship alongside a man, well, I could say the same, never grow old alongside a woman. Now I have no wife weighing me down, only freedom, power, wealth and time. And somehow I've even gotten 10 years younger. This is what it truly means to live like the protagonist."